I'm going to talk about the lens for the Electrolarm now. Um, I've never seen an Electrolarm lens that wasn't all messed up. I do believe all of them had this mirrored edge around the outside there. They always look a lot like this. So what can we do about that? Well, there's a couple of things. One, this just looks so bad, we could just remove all of that mirroring, or what we call silvering, from the lens and just use it like that. And I've seen people do that. So either way though, to clean this up, the first step is to remove the silvering that's on this old lens. And what I've found that works really great is take this toilet bowl cleaner. Okay, I don't, brand I'm not so sure matters, but I use this Clorox with bleach and does a good job. This stuff is so toxic. I don't even know how it's legal for sale, so you definitely don't want to get this on your hands. I've gotten it on my hands, and my hands started to itch a few minutes later. It's real bad. So the first step is to get a container, a plastic container like this, pour out some of that toilet bowl cleaner, and then take the lens and just slip it in there. And you want to make sure that the lens is covered, and we're going to leave that for 24 to 48 hours. And when we come back, that's all going to be loose on there, and we can take an old toothbrush and it'll just come right off. So that's the first step. And if you do that, take it out of there, wash it off, hit it with some Windex. You could just use that without the mirroring around the edge. Now, as far as recreating that mirrored effect, there's a guy who is really great at rehabbing Telechron GE clocks on eBay who actually has done this. He legitimately resilvers them, makes them into mirrors like they were in the beginning. But from what he said, it's very expensive. It's very takes a lot of time, and it takes practice to get it right. So this is an alternative, and this is what I do. Maybe someday I'll get into silvering, but this is what I've done with my Electrolarms, and I think it works out pretty well. So it starts with take the lens and I measure it, and I measured these lenses on the Electrolarms to be about 93 millimeters. I'm using millimeters just because my tool is in millimeters, so it's easier. I have noticed that the clocks that have the integral bezel, it appears that those lenses are slightly larger than the ones that have the brass bezel. So they're not interchangeable. So in any case, I've also noticed that this dial, which I believe is the original style dial, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but it's hard to measure this because the mirroring is always, flaking off. But it seems to me that the mirroring on this style, the ring of mirrored area was larger than on the two other styles of faces. Okay, so what I did is I measured across the lens about 93 millimeters, and then what I did is I measured on what I had, how far across it was for the mirrored section on this type of dial, and I came up with is about 69 millimeters. So what I did is I got this tool right here, which is pretty key to doing this if you want to do it this way, and it is designed to cut paper. So I got this for a couple bucks off of Amazon, and what I did is I did a circle 93 millimeters. The trick to it is to come back in and make sure that your point is in the same place. The second circle I did was at 69 millimeters. So I cut that out, and that left me with this right here. And what I did is I took my lens and I taped it on there. And the reason that I did that is so that I could cut tape at 69 millimeters. And I use this tape right here. I tried regular masking tape. This was better. so that the paint didn't bleed through. But it's like a specialized tape for painters. But what I did was I just took 2 strips of this, and I should mention I used a cutting pad for all of this. I tried to do it without a cutting pad once and it didn't work. So that's an important feature too. But all I did was I just doubled this up so that I had 93 millimeters across here, and then went back in with this, and actually I'll only need 69 on this one, 69 millimeters, and made a cut like this. And what I got from that is this circle of tape, which is 69 millimeters across. And I then took this and I used this as a frame of reference to try to get this as centered on the lens as possible. It is tricky because the lens is 3-dimensional and this piece of paper is only 2-dimensional, but it was by, and sometimes I had to pull it up and put it back down, but tried to get it so that it was as correctly in there as possible. All right, so instead of messing with that, I'll just show you this is the result of that. Okay, so now what I have is I have this area blocked out, and that is the 69 millimeters. And now I can paint this outside ring. And the paint that I'm referring to is not just any ordinary paint. There's something called Mirror Effect by Rust-Oleum, and I think there's other brands that have a similar product. But what I do is once I've got this set up like this, then I take this, follow the directions, and give this about 5 thin coats. And when you're done, looking at it from this side, it looks like a mirror. And then you can just remove the tape, and there you have your lens. Sometimes a little bit will bleed through. That you take a piece of wood like this, you can scratch it off if you're careful. One thing that I did want to mention is on the alternative dial, the one with the sun rising and the one that is the same as the sun rising just without the sunrise, which you typically see on the green and white ones, it seemed to me the lens, the area of mirror was not as great as the ones used on this. So when I measured it, what I got was 75 millimeters for the other style. So I have 2 of these. If I'm making one of these for the alternative dial, I use this one, or if I'm doing one for the original style, I'll use this one. So one problem I've had is taking it off and putting it in the clock and then turning the light on. And the light can come through this mirror effect paint. Okay, if it just doesn't happen to be thick enough, it'll come through. So I actually, and I don't want to make it sound easy because I've had to do this a number of lenses where I've done it 3 or 4 times before I finally got something I was happy with. So you may have to do that. What you do is if it doesn't work out, you put it back in the toilet bowl cleaner, leave it overnight, wipe it off, start all over again. But one thing that I was able to do with these that had, it was a good mirror effect on there, and the light was coming through. Took this metallic tape, and I just cut a little bit of it. And what I did is where I would have the top of my lens where the light would be, is just take this and stick it right there so that it's opaque and the light can't come through. Word of caution there, if you put any tape on that mirror effect paint and then pull it up, it's going to pull the mirror effect paint up with it. So you only get really one shot to put a piece of tape down on it. Once it's on there, that's where it's going to have to stay. But that is one way to get the lens back looking like it was originally. It's not going to, of course, be the same unless you go all in and resilver it. But I think it does look nice, and it certainly looks better than the flaking off mirror that so many of them come with.